I was 67 years old, kneeling on somebody else's carpet, with my knees popping like firecrackers, when my wife told a room full of strangers she'd rather stay single than marry me. The ring box sat open in my palm. Nothing fancy, just a simple band I'd saved up for. Around us, her friends held those tall glasses with cucumber floating in gin, the kind of drinks that cost $12 and taste like disappointment. The room went library quiet. Then Vanessa's voice cut through clean as a saw blade. I'd rather stay single than be some old man's nursemaid project. Somebody laughed. Not mean exactly, more like watching someone bomb at karaoke. My knees cracked when I stood, loud enough folks probably heard it over the music. I left the ring box on the coffee table and walked out. The drive home, that little velvet box sat on the passenger seat catching streetlight like it was mocking me. But that was only the beginning of what I didn't know. Part 1. The First Blow. 820 words. I need to back up some. Tell you how I got to that party in the first place, kneeling like a fool with my arthritic knees screaming. 3 years before, I buried Ellen. 40 years married, and then she was gone. Cancer took her quick, which I suppose is a mercy if you squint at it right. The house got real quiet after. Not the peaceful kind of quiet, the kind that sits on your chest at 3 in the morning reminding you nobody's breathing in the next room. I kept busy, had my workshop out back. I'm a retired contractor, built half the houses in this county, kept my hands moving with small projects, jewelry boxes mostly, birdhouses, things Ellen used to say were too pretty to be practical. I'd sand the wood till my fingers went numb, radio playing low. Waylon Jennings, Merle Haggard, the old guys who understood that some songs are just conversations with yourself. Met Vanessa at a community barbecue 18 months after Ellen passed. I wasn't looking for anything, wasn't even sure I remembered how to look, but she smiled at me across the potato salad table, asked if I'd made the corn casserole. I hadn't, but I lied and said yes just to keep her talking. She was 34. I knew that was a gap. Knew folks would talk, but she laughed at my stories about the old construction days. And when I mentioned Ellen, she didn't get that uncomfortable look people get around widowers. She just listened. Must have been a good woman, she'd said, to keep a man like you for 40 years. I liked that. A man like you. Like I was still somebody worth keeping. Things moved quick after that. She'd come by the house, sit on the porch while I worked in the shop. Always on her phone, texting, scrolling, that little glow lighting up her face. I figured that's just how young folks are now. Connected to the world. She started staying over. Then she started staying. Never had a formal conversation about it. She just stopped leaving. Brought her clothes, her expensive shampoo that smelled like flowers I couldn't name, told me the house needed updating, started selling off some of Ellen's furniture. Gerald, you've got to move forward, she'd say, hand on my arm. All this old stuff, it's keeping you stuck. Made sense when she said it. Ellen's rocking chair went first, then the quilt rack, then the china cabinet Ellen's mother had left her. Vanessa said she was donating them, helping me heal. I signed off on every piece. Hank, my neighbor, would watch from his porch. 72, widower like me, retired family lawyer. Known him 20 years. His porch swing would creak in the evenings while I'd carry another box to Vanessa's car. Gerald? He'd call over. Coffee sometime? Sure thing, Hank. Soon. But soon never came. Vanessa would wrinkle her nose when I mentioned him. That old man gives me the creeps, baby. Always watching. So I stopped mentioning him. My daughter Claire called less and less. Last real conversation we had was Thanksgiving 2 years back. She'd driven up from Atlanta, took one look at Vanessa, and her jaw went tight. Dad, can we talk? Alone? We stood in the driveway, November wind cutting through my flannel. Claire crossed her arms. She's using you. Claire. She's 34, Dad. You're 65. What do you think she wants? I felt my back go up. Maybe she wants the same thing I want, not to be alone. Mom hasn't been gone 3 years. Your mother's been gone long enough. Claire's eyes got shiny. She didn't cry. She's tough like Ellen was. But it was close. Fine. But when this blows up, don't say I didn't warn you. She left before dessert. Haven't seen her since. Texts went unanswered. Calls went to voicemail. Vanessa would lean against my shoulder when I'd stare at my phone. She just wants drama, Gerald. We don't need that negativity. So I stopped trying. 6 months ago, I started the cedar jewelry box. Bought the wood special, tight grain, smells like Christmas. I'd sand it in the evenings, thinking about proposing, practicing in the bathroom mirror like a teenager. Vanessa, I know we're different ages, but Vanessa, you make this house feel like… I felt foolish, but I felt hopeful too. That's the thing nobody tells you about getting old and lonely. You'll tolerate feeling foolish if it means not feeling invisible. The proposal was supposed to be private. Dinner at home, candles, the whole 9 yards. But Vanessa said her friends were having a party. Wouldn't it be more fun? More memorable? I should have known better. Should have heard the warning in her friends, not our friends. Should have noticed she'd been checking her phone more than usual, smiling at messages she angled away from me. But I didn't. I put on my good flannel shirt, pocketed the ring, and drove us to a house I'd never been to, full of people I'd never met. And that's how I ended up on my knees on that synthetic carpet, hearing her say those words. I'd rather stay single than be some old man's nursemaid project. I drove home with the ring box on the seat beside me, made it all the way into the driveway before I realized I couldn't make myself go inside. The porch light was on. Vanessa's key was on her ring. She could let herself in whenever she decided to come back. If she decided to come back. I sat there till 2 in the morning, engine off, just staring at my own front door like it belonged to somebody else. Part 2. Deeper cut. 820 words. She didn't come home that night, or the next. I went through the motions. Coffee at 5, same chipped mug I'd used for 30 years. The percolator bubbled and hissed, filling the kitchen with a smell that usually meant comfort. That morning it just meant I was awake and alone. The workshop didn't feel right either. I'd go out there, pick up sandpaper, put it back down. The cedar box sat on my bench, 3/4 finished. I couldn't look at it without my stomach turning over. Hank's porch swing creaked across the way. I could feel him watching, but he didn't come over. Gave me space, I guess. Or maybe he'd given up on me. Second morning, I was sitting on my own porch with my second cup when his screen door banged open. He crossed the yard in his slippers, 2 coffee mugs in hand, set one down next to me without asking. "Figured you might need a warm-up," he said. I nodded. Didn't trust my voice yet. He settled into Ellen's old porch chair, the one piece Vanessa hadn't gotten around to selling. The wicker creaked under his weight. We sat quiet for maybe 10 minutes. Hank's always been good at quiet. Finally, "You want to talk about it?" "Not much to say." "Uh-huh." He sipped his coffee. Set it down, pulled a napkin from his shirt pocket, the paper kind from the diner, and smoothed it on his knee. He'd written something on it in pencil. "A contract signed under duress is void." I looked at it, looked at him. "Just an old legal principle," he said. "Worth remembering sometimes." "Hank, I'm not trying to preach, Gerald. Just been doing this longer than either of us wants to admit. Seen things." He stood up, joints popping like mine. "Coffee's always on. You need to talk, you know where I am." He left the napkin on the chair arm. That afternoon, Vanessa's car pulled up. I was in the workshop, pretending to organize drill bits. Heard her heels on the gravel, then the back door opening. "Gerald?" Her voice was small, uncertain. I came inside, sawdust still on my jeans. She was standing in the kitchen, mascara smudged under her eyes, red around the nose like she'd been crying. She looked young standing there, vulnerable in a way I hadn't seen before. "Baby, I'm so sorry." I waited. "I don't know what happened. I just…" Her voice cracked. "Marriage scares me. My parents had this terrible divorce, and I think I just panicked and said something awful and…" She was crying for real now. Or it looked real anyway. She crossed the kitchen and put her arms around me, face pressed into my shoulder. "Can we just go back to how we were? Please. I can't lose you." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to. Because the alternative was admitting I'd been a fool. That Claire was right. That Hank was right. That the last 18 months had been me paying for company with my dead wife's furniture. My arms went around her. She felt small against my chest. "It's okay," I heard myself say. "We'll figure it out." She pulled back, wiped her eyes, smiled that smile that had hooked me at the barbecue. "Really?" "Really." She kissed me. Tasted like the mint gum she was always chewing. "I love you, you know that?" "I know." But I didn't know. Not really. And somewhere in the back of my head, a voice that sounded a lot like Ellen's said, "Gerald Mitchell, you're lying to yourself again." We spent the evening like nothing had happened. She made pasta, the fancy kind from the Italian market in town. We ate on the porch, her feet in my lap, talking about small things. The weather, the garden, whether we should repaint the shutters. Normal, easy, like the party had been a bad dream. Across the yard, Hank's porch was dark. Swing wasn't moving. That night, Vanessa curled up against me in bed. Her breathing evened out quick. She always fell asleep easy. I stared at the ceiling, feeling her warmth on one side and a cold spot on the other where Ellen used to be. I almost believed we were okay. Almost. But 3 days later, I was taking out the bathroom trash when something white caught my eye at the bottom of the bin. A receipt, crumpled up small like someone hoped it'd disappear. I smoothed it out on the counter. The Sterling Oak Inn, room 212. Thursday, April 18th. Date was 2 days after the party, after her apology. The itemized list showed champagne. Room service. Total came to $347. Thursday night. The night she'd said she was visiting her sick mother 3 counties over. I'd made her turkey sandwiches for the drive, kissed her goodbye at the door, told her to drive safe. I stood there holding that receipt while the bathroom light hummed overhead. My hands started shaking. Found my phone, pulled up the credit card statement, the joint one I'd added her to 6 months back, for emergencies. Scrolled to April. There it was. The Sterling Oak Inn. Same date. My card. And another charge. Franco's Steakhouse. $83. Next county over. Same night. Champagne and filet mignon for 2. I sat down on the toilet lid. The receipt trembled in my hand like a leaf. When she came out of the bedroom 20 minutes later, I was still sitting there. She leaned in the doorway, wearing one of my old t-shirts. "You okay, baby?" I held up the receipt. Her face didn't change much, just a little tightening around the eyes. "Oh, you said your mother was sick." She was, is. "Which hotel does your mother live in, Vanessa?" She straightened, crossed her arms. The softness from 3 days ago was gone. Just like that, like flipping a switch. "You know what, Gerald? You're not exciting anymore. I'm 34. I need more than wood shops and early dinners and—" She waved her hand around. "This whole old man routine. Who'd you take to dinner?" "Does it matter?" "Yeah, it matters." She grabbed her purse off the counter. "I'm going out. Don't wait up." "Vanessa!" But she was already down the hall. Door slammed hard enough to rattle the dishes. Her car started up, sprayed gravel pulling out. I sat in the dark kitchen till past midnight, radio on low, Waylon singing about good-hearted women loving good-timing men. I turned it off. The house felt bigger than it ever had, even bigger than those first nights after Ellen died. This was different, though. Ellen left because cancer took her. This was a choice. Vanessa chose to humiliate me, chose to come back with crocodile tears, chose to do it again before the tears were even dry. And I'd let her. Opened the door, took her back, pretended the receipt didn't exist until I literally found it in the trash. On the counter, Hank's napkin sat where I'd left it. A contract signed under duress is void. I didn't sleep that night. Vanessa didn't come back for 3 days. I know because I counted. 72 hours of sitting in that house with nothing but my own thoughts and the smell of her perfume still hanging in the bathroom. That expensive stuff that came in a black bottle, smelled like flowers I couldn't name. I used to think it was nice. Now it just made my stomach turn. I tried to work, couldn't, tried to eat, couldn't do that either. Made myself a sandwich on day 2 and threw half of it away. The bread tasted like cardboard and my mouth was too dry to swallow right. Hank came by once, knocked on the door. I pretended I wasn't home. Watched him through the window as he stood on the porch for a long minute, then walked back across the yard, shaking his head. On the third night, I was sitting at the kitchen table at 3 in the morning when I heard her car in the driveway. The engine cut off. Door opened and closed. She wasn't trying to be quiet. Heels clicked up the walk. She came in through the front door like she owned the place, which, legally, she didn't. But she acted like it. I was still at the table. Single light on overhead. The receipt laid out in front of me like evidence at a trial. I'd been staring at it so long, I had the numbers memorized. She stopped when she saw me, dropped her purse on the counter. "You're up late." "Couldn't sleep." She opened the refrigerator, pulled out the orange juice, drank straight from the carton. Something that used to annoy Ellen, something I'd let Vanessa do because I thought it meant we were comfortable together. "We need to talk," I said. "It's 3 in the morning, Gerald. I've had 3 days to think about it. Figure now's as good a time as any." She sighed, set down the juice, leaned against the counter with her arms crossed. "Fine. Talk." I picked up the receipt. "Who were you with?" "Does it matter?" "Yeah, it matters to me. Some guy I met at the gym. It's over now, if that helps." It didn't help. But at least she wasn't lying anymore. There's something almost worse about the lies, like I'm too stupid to handle the truth. "Why'd you come back?" I asked. "After the party? Why the tears and the apology and all that?" She looked at me for a long moment. Something shifted in her face, calculation happening behind her eyes. Then she shrugged. "I wasn't ready to give this up yet." She gestured around the kitchen. "The house, the security. You're nice, Gerald. Safe. Just not enough." The word hung there. Enough. "So, what now?" I asked. "I don't know. What do you want?" Honest answer. I wanted her to leave. Wanted to change the locks and never see her again. But there was this other part, the part that woke up at 3 a.m. scared of dying alone in this house, that wanted to beg her to stay. Promise I'd be more exciting. Take her to nicer restaurants. Whatever it took. I hated both those parts of myself. "I want to know if any of it was real," I said finally. She tilted her head. "Real? Us? This? Did you ever actually give a damn, or was I just—" I couldn't finish the sentence. "Oh, Gerald," she said it soft, almost pitying. "You're a good man. You really are. But you're 67 years old." "What did you think this was?" I felt something crack inside my chest, not my heart. I'd already figured that out days ago. This was deeper. This was the part of me that still believed I had something to offer besides a bank account and a roof. "Get out," I said. "What?" I said, "Get out. Take whatever's yours and go." She laughed. Actually laughed. "This is my home too, Gerald. You can't just—" "It's my house. My name on the deed. You want to lawyer up about it? We can. But right now, tonight, I want you gone." Her face went hard. "You'll regret this." "Maybe. But at least I'll regret it in peace." She grabbed her purse, stomped toward the bedroom. I heard drawers slamming, closet doors banging. She came back 10 minutes later with an overnight bag and her makeup case. At the door, she turned. "You know what your problem is, Gerald. You think being nice means you deserve something. You think making jewelry boxes and being some sad widower makes you special." She smiled, and it wasn't pretty. "You're just old and boring, and I wasted a year and a half on you." The door slammed behind her. I sat there listening to her car start up, back out, drive away. The sound faded until all I could hear was the kitchen clock ticking and the refrigerator humming. The house was quiet again. But this time it felt different. This time it felt empty in a way that had nothing to do with Ellen being gone. I picked up the receipt, folded it once, twice, 3 times, put it in my shirt pocket. Don't know why. Evidence, maybe? Or just a reminder that I'd been stupid enough to believe her tears were real. On the radio, I'd left it on low in the living room. Waylon was singing, "Are You Sure Hank Done It This Way?" I almost laughed. Would've, if I remembered how. Instead, I pulled out my phone, stared at Ellen's picture on my wallpaper, Her at 50, laughing at something I'd said, gray hair catching sunlight, taken 15 years ago in the backyard, before the cancer, before any of this. Would you even recognize me? I said out loud. The man I turned into? She smiled back from the screen, frozen in that moment. Didn't answer. Dead folks can't. I set the phone down, rested my head on my folded arms on the table. The clock kept ticking. Outside, somewhere in the dark, a cardinal called. Wrong time of day for it. But there it was anyway, sharp and clear and lonely. I closed my eyes. Didn't sleep, but I closed them anyway. She came back 2 days later. I didn't let her in. Stood on the other side of the locked door while she knocked and called my name. Eventually, she gave up, got in her car, left. She still had clothes in the bedroom. Personal things. Didn't matter. I couldn't look at her without seeing that smile when she'd called me old and boring. The thing is, she wasn't wrong. I was old. 67 isn't young by any measure. And boring, yeah. I went to bed at 9, got up at 5, made the same coffee in the same pot, built the same birdhouses and jewelry boxes I'd been building for 40 years. What part of that was exciting? That's what ate at me. Not that she'd lied or cheated or used me, that she'd seen something true, something I'd been trying to ignore, and said it out loud. I stopped eating regular meals. Just coffee in the morning, maybe some toast if I remembered. Lost 8 pounds in a week. Didn't notice till my jeans wouldn't stay up without a belt. The workshop became a place I couldn't stand. I'd walk out there, look at the tools, the half-finished projects, and just turn around. All of it felt pointless. Who was I building this stuff for? Ellen was gone. Claire wouldn't talk to me. Vanessa had made it clear what she thought of my woodworking, so I'd sit on the porch instead. Hours at a time, watching cars go by, watching Hank's porch across the way. He'd wave sometimes, I'd wave back, but I didn't go over, and he didn't come here. What would I even say? You were right, I was an idiot. He already knew that. Whole town probably knew by now. Betty at the hardware store had given me a look last time I was in. Pity mixed with something else. Gossip travels fast in small towns. Sleep went sideways. I'd lie in bed staring at the ceiling till midnight, then give up and go sit in the living room. The TV stayed off. Just me and the dark and the sound of the house settling. One night, maybe a week after I kicked her out, I couldn't even make myself go inside. Stood in the driveway at 11 p.m. looking at my own front door like it was a stranger's house, like I needed permission to enter. Ended up sitting in my truck instead, driver's seat, engine off, keys in my lap. Windows down so I could hear the night sounds, crickets, distant dog barking, wind in the oak trees. Tried to figure out what I was afraid of. Going inside meant being alone, really alone, in a house that used to have Ellen's laughter in it and now didn't even have Vanessa's lies. Staying out here meant admitting I couldn't handle my own life. Both options felt like losing. I sat there till past 3 in the morning. Truck suspension creaking every time I shifted weight. Metal ticking as the engine cooled even though I'd never started it. That's when Hank's porch light came on. I watched him come out in his bathrobe and slippers. He crossed the yard slow, old knees, same as mine. Didn't say anything when he got to the truck. Just climbed up on the tailgate, grunting with the effort, and sat there with his legs dangling. We stayed quiet for maybe 10 minutes, long enough that I thought he might have fallen asleep back there. Then, "You afraid to go inside your own house?" Took me a minute to answer. "Yeah, I guess I am." "What are you afraid of?" "Being alone." "You're alone right now, sitting in a truck at 3 in the morning." "That's different." "How?" I didn't have an answer for that. Hank shifted on the tailgate. "Gerald, I'm gonna say something, and you're not gonna like it." "Go ahead." Man who won't defend his own dignity got nothing left to build on. I gripped the steering wheel tighter. "I kicked her out, didn't I?" "You did." "And then what? You stopped eating? Stopped working? Stopped living? All because some woman half your age told you what you already suspected about yourself." That stung. Because it was true. She's right, Hank. I am boring. I'm old and set in my ways, and what woman my age wants a broke-down contractor who smells like sawdust? Ellen did. Ellen's dead. She is, but that doesn't mean you gotta be. I closed my eyes. I don't know how to do this. Be alone, I mean, really alone. Ellen and I were together since we were kids. Then she's gone 3 years and I jump right into, I couldn't finish, into something that made you feel less invisible. Yeah, Hank was quiet again. Then, you know what the difference is between alone and lonely? What? Alone is a fact. Lonely is a choice. You're sitting in your truck at 3 a.m. because you're choosing to be lonely instead of facing the fact that you're alone. There ain't nothing wrong with alone, Gerald. Damn near everybody ends up there eventually. So what am I supposed to do? Just accept it? You're supposed to live, go inside, make your coffee, work on your projects, call your daughter. Stop waiting for somebody else to make you feel like you matter. What if I don't matter? He climbed down off the tailgate, knees popping, walked around to my window, looked me dead in the eye. You matter to you, or at least you should. Ellen would be ashamed if she saw you like this. That hit harder than anything Vanessa had said. I don't know if I can, I whispered. Then sit here till you figure it out. But Gerald? He started walking back toward his house, turned at the property line. That girl took your furniture and your money and your pride. Don't let her take your life too. His porch light went off. Swing stopped moving. I sat there another hour, watching the sky start to lighten at the edges, feeling the morning dew settle on the windshield. Finally, around 4:30, I opened the truck door, stood up. My back screamed from sitting so long. Walked to my own front door, put the key in the lock, went inside, made coffee, sat at the kitchen table while the sun came up. I wasn't fixed, wasn't even close, but I was inside my own house and that felt like something. The percolator bubbled. Black coffee smell filled the kitchen. I was still here, still Gerald. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough to start with. Part 5. The Daughter's Arrival. 820 words. 2 days later, Claire showed up. I was in the workshop, first time I'd been out there in over a week. Wasn't doing much, just running my hand over the unfinished cedar box, trying to remember why I'd started it in the first place. Radio playing low, dust motes floating in the sunlight through the window. Heard a car door slam. Different sound than Vanessa's sports car. Heavier, more solid. I looked out and saw Claire's SUV in the driveway. Georgia plates. She'd driven 12 hours. My stomach dropped. She came around the house to the workshop door, knocked even though it was open. That was Claire. Always had manners, even when she was mad. Hey, Dad. Claire. I set down the box, wiped my hands on my jeans even though they weren't dirty. Didn't know you were coming. Didn't know I was coming till yesterday. She stepped inside, looked around. Place looks the same. Yeah, well, not much changes out here. We stood there awkward. 2 years is a long time not to see your only child. She looked good, had her mother's eyes, her mother's way of standing with her weight on one hip when she was deciding whether to be angry or sad. Can we talk? She asked. Sure. House or here? House. We walked across the yard without saying much. Inside, I poured us both coffee. She took hers black, same as me, same as Ellen used to. Claire sat at the kitchen table, ran her finger around the rim of the mug. Got a weird letter a few days ago, newspaper clipping, no return address, article about elder financial abuse. I felt my face get hot. Hank? That your neighbor? Yeah. He cares about you. He's a busybody. Maybe. She looked up at me. Is it true? What the article talked about? Younger partners isolating older people, taking their assets? I sat down across from her, stared into my coffee. I don't want to do this, Claire. Well, I drove 12 hours, so we're doing it. Her voice got softer. Dad, I'm worried about you. I'm fine. You're not fine. You haven't answered my calls in 2 years. You cut me out of your life for a woman who... She stopped herself, took a breath. Where is she? Vanessa? Gone. Gone where? Just gone. I kicked her out last week. Something changed in Claire's face. Relief, maybe. Or vindication. What happened? So I told her. Not everything. Didn't mention the party, the ring, the kneeling. Too humiliating. But I told her about the hotel receipt, the cheating, the things Vanessa said before she left. Claire listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long time. I'm sorry, Dad. You were right. At Thanksgiving. Everything you said. I didn't want to be right. I wanted to be wrong and paranoid and… Her voice cracked. I wanted you to be happy. I know. She stood up. Can I see the house? I mean, really see it? I didn't want to, but I nodded. We walked through room by room. Each one felt like showing her wounds. Claire didn't say anything until we got to the living room. Where's Mom's rocking chair? Vanessa donated it, said I needed to move forward. Claire's jaw tightened. And the quilt rack? The china cabinet? Same. Dad, those weren't hers to donate. That was Mom's stuff, our family's stuff. I signed off on it. Because she manipulated you. Her voice rose, caught herself, lowered it again. I'm sorry, where's all Mom's furniture? Gone, most of it. She walked to the mantel. Ellen's picture was still there. The one I liked best, taken in the backyard. Claire picked it up. You let her erase Mom. Claire, no, listen, I get it. You were lonely. I wasn't here. You wanted somebody to share this house with. But Dad, she took everything, and you let her because you were afraid of being alone. I couldn't argue. Because she was right. Claire set down the picture, wiped her eyes. I brought somebody with me. Friend from work, paralegal. She's good at this stuff, financial stuff. If Vanessa took anything she wasn't supposed to, we can… I don't want to make a big thing out of this. It already is a big thing. Claire, just let Amy look. Please, she's in the car. Won't take long. I didn't have the energy to fight, nodded. Claire went out and came back with a young woman, maybe 30, carrying a laptop bag. Amy, short, dark hair, business casual, the kind of person who gets things done. Mr. Mitchell, she shook my hand. I'm so sorry you're going through this. If you don't mind, I'd like to look at some documents, bank statements, property records, that kind of thing. I guess that's fine. We set up at the kitchen table. I pulled out my filing cabinet stuff. Statements, deeds, titles, stuff I should have been watching but wasn't. Amy went through it methodical. Claire sat next to her, pointing things out. I made more coffee, stood at the counter watching them work, mother and daughter, heads together, trying to fix my mess. Felt Ellen in that moment, the way she used to organize our bills, keep everything straight when I'd lose track. Claire had that same focus, same competence. Amy's fingers stopped on a paper. Mr. Mitchell, this is your truck title, right? The Ford? Yeah. Had it 10 years. Ellen bought it for me when I retired. Did you add Vanessa Torres to this title? No. Why? Amy turned the paper toward me, pointed at a line. There, in the co-owner spot. Vanessa Torres. Date added 3 months ago. Signature next to it. Mine, supposedly. But that wasn't my signature. Close. Real close. But the way the G looped, that wasn't how I write. That's not my signature, I said slowly. Claire leaned forward. You sure? Yeah, I'm sure. Amy and Claire looked at each other. Something passed between them. Mr. Mitchell, Amy said carefully, this is fraud. If she forged your signature to add herself to a vehicle title, that's a crime. The room felt smaller. My chest got tight. How? I asked. Did you sign any DMV paperwork recently? Title renewals, registration updates? I thought back. Maybe. She had a stack of stuff a few months ago. Said it was renewal paperwork. I signed it without reading. That's probably how… She slipped this in with legitimate documents. Claire put her hand on my arm. Dad, what else did she have access to? We spent the next hour going through everything. The cash withdrawals I didn't remember. 400 here, 500 there. The credit card charges at stores I'd never been to. The way she'd photographed documents in my office. I'd caught her once, remember? Said she was organizing for me. She wasn't organizing. She was documenting, building a file. By the time we finished, I felt sick. Not angry yet. That would come later. Just sick. Sick at my own stupidity. Sick that I'd let this happen. There's more, Amy said quietly. She turned her laptop toward me. Social media page, Vanessa's, but not one I'd ever seen. Different name, privacy settings I wasn't included in. Posts about old guys with money and retirement gigs. Pictures of her at restaurants with captions like, dinner on someone else's dime. One post from the night of that party. You ever have to ghost someone in public? LOL, so awkward but necessary. Claire's hand tightened on my arm. I couldn't breathe right. The kitchen walls felt close. That perfume smell was still in the air somewhere, black bottle flowers, and it made my stomach turn. Dad? Claire's voice from far away. You okay? I need a minute. I walked out to the porch, sat down hard in Ellen's wicker chair, put my head in my hands, heard the screen door open behind me. Claire sat down next to me, didn't say anything, just sat. I'm an idiot, I said finally. You're not. I am. You tried to tell me, Hank tried to tell me, I didn't listen. You were lonely, Dad. She targeted that. This isn't your fault. Feels like it is. Claire was quiet a minute, then, you know what Mom used to say when I'd mess up and feel bad about it? What? She'd say, can't change what's done, can only choose what's next. Claire looked at me. So what's next, Dad? I thought about that. About Vanessa's car pulling up unannounced. About her still having a key, still having clothes in my house. About that forged signature on my truck title. The truck Ellen saved for years to buy me. Something shifted in my chest. Not quite anger yet, but getting there. Next, I said slowly, I stopped letting her win. Claire smiled, not big, just a little. Good, because Amy and I have some ideas. Behind us, through the screen door, I could hear Amy on her phone. Professional voice, taking notes. Building something. Across the yard, Hank's porch swing was creaking. He was sitting out there pretending to read his paper, but I knew he was watching, waiting. I raised my hand. Small wave. He raised his coffee mug back. First time in 2 weeks I felt like maybe, just maybe, I wasn't completely alone in this. Part 6. The Evidence Mounts, 900 words. Hank came over an hour later, didn't knock, just walked right in like he used to before Vanessa made me feel guilty about it. Found us at the kitchen table, papers spread everywhere, bank statements, credit card bills, property records, war room set up. Heard you had company, he said to me. Then to Claire, you must be Gerald's daughter. Got your mama's face. Claire stood up, shook his hand. You must be the one who sent me that article. Might have been me. Might have been the wind. He pulled out a chair, sat down with a grunt. What'd we find? Amy walked him through it. The forged signature, the cash withdrawals. The documented pattern of financial exploitation. Hank listened, nodding, his lawyer brain working behind his eyes. When she finished, he was quiet for a minute. Then, there's more you should know. He pulled out his phone. Took him a minute to find what he wanted, squinting at the screen. Finally handed it to Claire. Friend of mine's a divorce attorney over in Henderson County. Called him last week after Gerald kicked her out. Asked if anyone had been consulting about common law marriage rights. Claire's eyes widened, reading whatever was on screen. She went to a lawyer? 2 of them. Asking about whether she could claim any property rights. How long you have to cohabitate before you're considered common law married in this state. My stomach dropped. We're not married. I know that. You know that. But she was testing the waters. Seeing what she could claim. Hank took his phone back. Answer is nothing, by the way. North Carolina doesn't recognize common law marriage. She'd have had to actually marry you to get anything in a divorce. That's why she rejected the proposal, Amy said suddenly. She didn't want to marry him. She wanted to extract what she could and leave before he caught on. Claire was staring at me. The proposal? I felt my face get hot. It's not important. Dad, I said it's not important. My voice came out harder than I meant it. What matters is what we do now, Hank nodded. Smart. So what are your options? Could press charges for the title fraud. That's forgery, identity theft, criminal offense. Would it stick? Claire asked. Maybe. Depends on the prosecutor. Depends on if she's still in state. Could take months. Might not go anywhere. What's the other option? Civil route. Sue for the money she took, the property she sold. But that's expensive, takes time, and Gerald's name gets dragged through court records. Hank looked at me. Or option 3, you get her out of your life clean, change the locks, document everything, make it clear she's not welcome. If she comes back, that's trespassing. She still has stuff here, I said. Clothes, personal things. Box it up. Leave it on the porch. Text her she's got 24 hours to pick it up or it goes to Goodwill. Amy was typing notes. We should also freeze the joint credit card. Close that account. And I'd recommend changing your banking passwords, your email passwords, everything. If she had access to your office, she might have more information than you think. Claire pulled out her phone, scrolled through something. Dad, does she have access to your email? Probably. Why? Because if she does, she can see every document you've signed electronically, every account recovery email, every… Claire stopped, looked at Amy. Can we check his cloud storage? They huddled over my laptop, which I barely knew how to use for anything beyond checking weather. Claire logged into something called the cloud with my email and password. Oh God, she said softly. What? She turned the laptop toward me. Folders and folders of photos, my documents, tax returns, property deeds, insurance policies, Ellen's death certificate, the title to my truck before it was changed, medical records, bank statements going back 3 years, all photographed and uploaded, organized by category, dated. This goes back 18 months, Amy said, scrolling. She's been documenting your entire financial life since she moved in. I couldn't speak, couldn't process what I was seeing. This wasn't crimes of passion or mistakes made in bad moments. This was calculated, methodical, long-term planning. Why? My voice sounded hollow. Why go through all this? Exit strategy, Hank said quietly. She was building a case. If you married her and then tried to divorce, she'd have all this to prove your assets. If you died, she'd know what to claim. If you caught on and kicked her out, like you did, she'd have leverage. Leverage for what? Blackmail, probably. Give me money or I'll claim you were abusive or incompetent or… He shook his head. Women like her, they always have a backup plan. Claire was still scrolling, stopped on something. Her face went pale. What? I asked. She didn't answer, just turned the laptop toward me again. Screenshot of a text conversation. Vanessa and some name I didn't recognize. Jessica. The date was from 2 weeks ago, before I'd found the hotel receipt, before the confrontation. Jessica. How's it going with the old guy? Vanessa. Ugh, exhausting, but almost done. Gonna make him propose in public so there's witnesses he wanted to marry me, then reject him, let him stew, come back with tears, keeps him off balance. Jessica. You're evil, LOL. Vanessa. You gotta play the long game with these old dudes. They're so desperate they'll believe anything. Jessica. How much you think you'll get? Vanessa. House is paid off, worth maybe 300K, plus his pension, savings, life insurance. If I play this right, at least 150K without even marrying him. Jessica. Damn girl. Vanessa. I know, right? Easiest money ever. Just gotta deal with him thinking he's interesting when he talks about his dead wife, LOL. The kitchen went very quiet. I could hear the refrigerator humming, the clock ticking, my own heartbeat in my ears. Claire's hand found mine across the table, squeezed hard. Dad, she whispered. I'm so sorry. I pulled my hand back, stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the workshop, the yard, the oak trees Ellen and I had planted 30 years ago. Felt something crack open inside me, not heartbreak. I'd already been through that. This was different. This was rage. Pure, clean, focused rage. At Vanessa for the con, at myself for being the mark. At every moment I'd made excuses for her, defended her, chose her over my own daughter. Gerald? Hank's voice behind me. I turned around, 3 faces looking at me, worried, waiting. Box up her stuff, I said, my voice steady, calm, cold. Change the locks. Close the accounts. I want every trace of her out of this house by tonight. Claire nodded. Okay, we can do that. And one more thing. I looked at Amy. That screenshot. Can you save it? Print it? I want it. Of course. What are you thinking? I'm thinking, I said slowly, that Vanessa Torres came into my life because I was lonely and she thought that made me stupid. She's half right. I was lonely. But I'm done being stupid. Hank smiled. There he is. There who is? The Gerald I remember. The one who built half this town and didn't take shit from anybody. I looked at the laptop screen. At those texts. At the proof that every kind word, every tear, every moment I'd thought meant something. It was all an act, all calculation, all lies. Let's get to work, I said. And we did. Part 7. The Plan. 780 words. By sunset, my kitchen looked like a police incident room. Documents in stacks, printouts taped to the wall where Ellen's calendar used to hang, 3 laptops open, coffee cups everywhere. Claire was on the phone with my bank, closing the joint credit card account. Amy was drafting a formal notice of trespass, legal language saying Vanessa wasn't welcome on my property anymore. Hank was going through my files, making sure we had copies of everything before we changed the locks. Me? I was boxing up Vanessa's things. Started in the bedroom. Her clothes still hung in Ellen's side of the closet. That fact alone made my jaw tight. Expensive jeans, designer tops, dresses that cost more than my monthly electric bill. I pulled them off hangers without folding, dumped them in cardboard boxes, found her jewelry box on the dresser, opened it. Earrings I'd bought her for Christmas. Necklace she said was from her grandmother, probably a lie. And there, in the bottom under a bracelet, an envelope. Cash, 20s and 50s, rubber banded together. I counted it, $3,400. The exact total of those cash withdrawals on my bank statement. I stood there holding that money, feeling something cold settle in my chest. She hadn't even spent it, just took it and hid it. Insurance policy, maybe. Or she was planning to take off and wanted cash that couldn't be traced. I brought the envelope to the kitchen, set it on the table in front of Hank. Found this in her jewelry box, he whistled low. That's your cash withdrawals. Every penny, near as I can figure. She was building a nest egg. Probably got spooked when you found that hotel receipt, stashed it somewhere she could grab it quick. Claire finished her phone call, hung up. Cards canceled. They're sending you a new one. Solo account, different number. Good. I sat down heavy. What else? Amy looked at her list. Locks need changing. I called a locksmith. He can be here in an hour. You should also change your email password, your banking password, anything she might have had access to. Don't know half my passwords. I'll help, Claire said. We'll do it together. Hank cleared his throat. Gerald, we need to talk about what happens when she comes back. If she comes back. She'll come back. Woman like that doesn't walk away quiet. She'll want her stuff, or she'll want to fight, or she'll try the tears again. Won't work this time. I know that. But you need to be ready. I called Deputy Walsh. Worked a case with him a few years back. Good man. He's willing to come by when we do this. Just as a witness. Keep things from getting ugly. You think she'd get violent? I think cornered animals do unpredictable things. Better safe. Made sense. Okay, when? Depends when she shows up. Could be tonight, could be a week from now. Amy closed her laptop. Actually, we could force the timeline. Text her that her things are packed and she has 24 hours to pick them up. Creates urgency. Puts you in control. I thought about that. Control. Funny word. Hadn't felt in control of my own life in 18 months. Do it, I said. Claire took my phone. What do you want it to say? Keep it simple. Your belongings are packed. You have 24 hours to collect them from the front porch. After that, they're donated. You're not welcome inside. She typed it out. Showed me. This work? I read it twice. Nodded. Send it. She hit send. We all watched the screen like it was going to explode. 3 dots appeared. Vanessa was typing. Then they disappeared. Then appeared again. Finally, a response. We need to talk. Claire looked at me. What do you want to say? Nothing. We're done talking. But Claire was already typing. Nothing to discuss. 24 hours. Sent it before I could second guess. Gerald, this is ridiculous. I have rights. Hank leaned over, took the phone, typed. No, you don't. The lawyer advises you're trespassing if you enter. Pick up your belongings or they'll be disposed of. Hit send. Long pause, then, fuck you. Then, you'll regret this. Then, you're just a pathetic old man who couldn't keep a woman happy. The messages kept coming. Angrier, meaner, more desperate. Claire took the phone, turned it face down. Don't read them, she said. She's just trying to hurt you. Little late for that. Hank stood up, stretched his back. Well, she's been notified. Clock's ticking. Locksmith should be here soon. He was right on time. Young guy, maybe 30, with a truck full of equipment, changed the front door, back door, and the workshop. New keys, new deadbolts, new everything. I watched him work, feeling something shift in my chest with every turn of his drill. These were my locks now, my doors, my house. When he finished, he handed me 3 sets of keys. All set, Mr. Mitchell. Nobody's getting in without your say-so. I gave 1 set to Claire, 1 to Hank, kept 1 for myself. What about her key? Claire asked. What about it? She still has the old one. Won't do her any good now. We carried the boxes of Vanessa's things to the front porch. 4 cardboard boxes and 2 garbage bags. Her whole life in my house, reduced to 6 containers. Seemed about right. I stood there looking at them. All that expensive perfume smell wafting up, black bottle flowers, made my stomach turn. You okay? Claire asked, coming up beside me. Getting there. What if she doesn't come? Then Goodwill get some nice clothes. She smiled at that. Small, but real. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and purple. Across the yard, Hank was settling into his porch swing with a cup of coffee. He raised it toward me. I raised my hand back. When do you think she'll show up? Claire asked. No idea. Could be tonight, could be tomorrow. You want me to stay? I can sleep on the couch. I thought about that. Part of me wanted her here. Backup, support, someone to make sure I didn't lose my nerve, but another part needed to do this myself. Stay tonight, I said. If nothing happens, you head home tomorrow. You got work Monday. I took the week off. Claire. Dad, I'm staying till this is done. We clear? She had Ellen's stubborn streak. No point arguing. We're clear. We went inside. I made dinner. Nothing fancy, just sandwiches and chips. First real meal I'd had in days. Tasted like cardboard, but I ate it anyway. Amy left around 8, promising to check in tomorrow. Hank went home around 9. Claire and I sat on the couch, TV on low, not really watching. Around 10, headlights swept across the front window. We both sat up, car in the driveway, engine cut off, door opened, high heels on gravel. That's her, I said. Claire stood up. You ready? I thought about that text message. You're just a pathetic old man who couldn't keep a woman happy. Maybe that was true. Maybe I was pathetic. Maybe I'd never be exciting or young or whatever it was Vanessa had been looking for. But this was my house. My life. My choice. Yeah, I said, standing. I'm ready. We walked to the front door together. Outside, Vanessa's footsteps stopped. She'd seen the boxes on the porch. Gerald! Her voice muffled through the door. Gerald, open up! I didn't move. I know you're in there. We need to talk. Claire's hand found mine. Squeezed. Gerald, please, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry for everything. Just let me in and we can... I opened the door. Not all the way. Just enough to stand in the frame. Claire behind me. Porch light on overhead. Bright enough to see everything. Vanessa stood on the walkway, 1 foot on the bottom step. She'd dressed up. Nice blouse, makeup done, playing the part. When she saw Claire, something flickered across her face. Calculation, trying to figure the new angle. Gerald, she said, softer now. Can we please talk? Alone? No. I understand you're upset, but your things are here. I pointed to the boxes. Take them and go. Baby, I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But we can fix this. We can't fix anything. There's no we anymore. Her eyes got shiny, tears forming, the same trick as before. Please don't do this. I love you. No, you don't. I do. I know I have a terrible way of showing it, but… Vanessa, my voice came out flat, tired. I've seen the texts. She froze. What texts? The ones where you and Jessica talk about me like I'm a retirement plan, where you call me pathetic, where you brag about how much money you're gonna get. All the color drained from her face. Gerald, that was just… I was venting. I didn't mean… Take your stuff and leave. You can't just… I can. And I am. You're not welcome here anymore. Her face changed then, tears gone, mask slipping. You're making a mistake. Already made my mistake. 18 months ago, this is me fixing it. She climbed the steps, got right up close. Claire tensed behind me, but I didn't move. You know what you are, Gerald? Vanessa's voice was poison sweet. You're a lonely old fool who bought a young woman's attention because you couldn't stand being by yourself. And now you're gonna die alone in this house and nobody's gonna care. Used to be, those words would have gutted me, would have made me question everything. But standing there with Claire behind me, with new locks on my doors, with Hank's porch light on across the yard, standing there, I realized something. I'd rather die alone with my dignity than live with someone who made me feel small. Maybe you're right, I said quietly. But at least I'll die in my own house, not somebody else's. I stepped back, closed the door, turned the deadbolt, heard the click of the new lock sliding home. Outside, Vanessa screamed something I couldn't quite make out. Footsteps stomping around, boxes being grabbed, thrown into her car. More yelling. Finally, her car door slamming, engine starting, tires on gravel, sound fading down the road. Then quiet. Claire let out a breath. Holy shit, Dad. I walked to the kitchen, sat down at the table. My hands were shaking, adrenaline finally catching up. You okay? She asked. Ask me tomorrow. She made us both coffee. We sat there drinking it, not saying much. Just being… Around midnight, my phone buzzed. Text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Deputy Walsh. Hank gave me a heads up. Everything okay over there? I typed back. All clear. Thanks. Good. You need anything, you call. Don't care what time. Good people. That's what I had. Hank, Claire, Walsh, Amy. Good people who gave a damn. Maybe that was enough. Maybe that was more than enough. She came back 3 days later. Not at night this time. Middle of the afternoon, Tuesday, sun high and bright. I was in the workshop sanding that cedar box, finally had the heart to finish it, when I heard tires on gravel, looked out the window. Vanessa's car, but she wasn't alone. A man got out of the passenger side. Young, maybe 30, gym muscles bulging under a tight t-shirt, tattoos down both arms. He looked exactly like the kind of guy who'd take a woman to a hotel room and order champagne on somebody else's card. I walked out of the workshop slow. Hank was already coming across his yard, moving faster than I'd seen him move in years, phone in his hand. Gerald? Hank called. I'm calling Walsh. I nodded, kept walking toward my front porch. Vanessa was standing by her car, arms crossed. The guy, her muscle I guess, stood next to her trying to look intimidating. We need to talk, she said. Already told you. Nothing to talk about. Yeah, there is. You've got things that belong to me. Gave you your stuff. You picked it up. Not clothes, Gerald. Money. $3,000 you stole from me. I almost laughed. That's my money, from my account, that you withdrew without asking. It was a gift. You can't take back gifts. The muscle guy stepped forward. Lady says you got her money. Maybe you should give it back. And who are you? Friend of hers. Making sure this stays civil. Civil? I tasted the word. That's interesting coming from someone who helps married women cheat. His face darkened. Watch your mouth, old man. Or what? He started toward me, got maybe 3 steps before Hank's voice cut across the yard. That's far enough, son. Deputy Walsh's cruiser was pulling into my driveway, lights off but deliberate. He got out slow, hand resting casual on his belt near his radio. "Afternoon, folks." Walsh nodded to me. "Gerald, everything okay? These people are leaving." "Like hell we are," Vanessa said. "He's got my money." Walsh looked at her. At Muscle Guy. Back to me. "That true, Gerald?" Found 3,000 in cash hidden in her jewelry box. Same amount as the unauthorized withdrawals from my account. She can file a police report if she thinks it's hers. "It is mine." "Then file a report. I'm sure they'd love to hear about the forged signature on my truck title while you're at it." She went very still. Muscle Guy looked at her. "What's he talking about?" "Nothing. He's lying." Walsh pulled out a small notepad. "Ma'am, did you say something about a truck title?" "No, we're just here for her belongings." "Already got them," I said. "3 days ago. You want to claim that cash, you'll need to prove it's yours. Bank records, receipts, something." Vanessa's face was red. "Gerald, please, just give me the money and we'll go." "No. You owe me." "I don't owe you anything. You came into my life, lied to me, stole from me, and humiliated me. I'm done." Muscle Guy took another step forward. Walsh moved between us. "Sir, I'm going to need you to step back. Man's got her property. Man's got documented evidence of fraud and theft. You want to push this, we can all go down to the station and sort it out with lawyers present." Vanessa grabbed Muscle Guy's arm. "Let's just go." "But your money?" "It's fine. Let's go." They got back in the car. Vanessa stared at me through the windshield, and for just a second, I saw something real in her face. Not love, not remorse. Just cold calculation, realizing the con was over. She drove away. Walsh stayed another 20 minutes, took a statement, gave me a card with a case number on it. "She comes back," he said. "You call me direct. Don't engage." After he left, Hank and I stood in the driveway. "You did good," Hank said. "Didn't feel good." "Never does, but you stood your ground. That's what matters." I looked at my house, my workshop, my oak trees. Still mine. All of it. Still mine. 1 month later, I finished the cedar box, took my time with it, sanded every edge smooth as glass, rubbed in linseed oil till the grain glowed warm in the light. But I didn't give it away, kept it for myself. Inside, I put Ellen's wedding band, the one I'd kept in my drawer, couldn't bear to look at, but couldn't throw away either. Added a photo of Claire when she was 6, gap-toothed smile, sitting on Ellen's lap. Found that poker chip from my first date with Vanessa, kept it as a reminder. Cost of loneliness, right there in red plastic. And Hank's napkin, the one with "a contract signed under duress is void" written in pencil. Things that mattered, things that were real. Claire started coming up on weekends. We'd sit on the porch, drink coffee, talk about small stuff, her job, the weather, whether I should finally replace that section of fence that had been leaning since spring. We didn't talk about Vanessa much, didn't need to. The town gossip moved on like it always does. Betty at the hardware store stopped giving me pitying looks, started asking about my projects again. Pastor Jim invited me to the men's breakfast. I went once, might go again. Wasn't as awkward as I thought it'd be. Vanessa left town. Heard it through Hank, who heard it from his lawyer friend. Moved 2 counties over, probably looking for the next lonely man with a paid-off house. I didn't think about her much. When I did, it was like remembering a bad storm. It came through, did damage, but eventually you rebuild. The legal stuff settled quiet. Amy helped me get the truck title corrected, got the forged signature documented as fraud, never pressed charges, didn't have the stomach for a trial, and honestly, I just wanted her gone. She was gone. That was enough. I helped my neighbor fix his fence one Saturday. He tried to pay me, but I wouldn't take it at first. Finally accepted $20 just so he wouldn't feel bad. Felt good using my hands for something useful again. Started a new project in the workshop, birdhouse for Claire's backyard in Atlanta. She'd mentioned wanting one. Figured I could make something nice, something that'd last. Hank still came over most mornings. We'd sit on the porch with our coffee, talk or not talk, didn't matter. That porch swing of his creaked steady as a heartbeat. One evening, Claire was visiting, and the three of us were out there watching the sun go down through the oak trees. Fireflies just starting to blink in the shadows. "Dad," Claire said, "you seem different. Better." I thought about that. Maybe I am. You thinking about dating again? When you're ready? I sipped my coffee, watched a cardinal land on the fence post, bright red against the weathered wood. Maybe someday, maybe not. But I'm okay either way now. Hank raised his mug. That's the thing worth keeping. What is? Being okay with yourself. Rest is just gravy. Claire smiled, leaned her head on my shoulder like she used to when she was little. The cardinal called out, sharp and clear, not lonely, just announcing it was there, alive, present. I understood that feeling. Sometimes I think about what Ellen would say if she could see me now. Probably shake her head, give me that look she had, half exasperated, half amused. Gerald Mitchell, took you long enough to figure it out. Figure what out? That being alone isn't the same as being lonely. That dignity matters more than company. That a man who won't stand up for himself hasn't got much standing at all. I'm 67 years old. My knees pop when I stand. My back aches in the morning. I eat dinner at 5:30 and I'm in bed by 9. Exciting? No, but it's mine, and that counts for something. The house is quiet again, but it's a different kind of quiet now. Not the suffocating kind that came after Ellen died, or the tense kind when Vanessa was here waiting to take something else. This is peaceful quiet. The kind where you can hear yourself think. I've got my workshop, got my daughter calling every Sunday, got Hank across the yard and his porch swing creaking in the evenings, got Deputy Walsh's number in my phone, and the knowledge that good people still exist if you let them close enough to help. Might not ever have another romance. Might spend the rest of my days alone in this house Ellen and I built together. And you know what? That's all right, because I learned something Vanessa couldn't teach me and loneliness couldn't break me of. A man's got to know what he'll tolerate and what he won't. Took me 67 years to learn it, but I learned it. Ellen always said I was a slow learner, but I got there eventually. The coffee's still hot in my cup. The cardinal's calling from the oak tree. Hank's swing is creaking. I'm still here, still Gerald. And that's enough.